Hey guys, Amazing Ampharos here, and I'm about to take on the 4 fiends of Final Fantasy 1. I'm going to start by throwing a couple tints to roll the lunar phase over to Waxing Moon, which powers up white magic and powers down black magic. The first boss I'm going to fight hits my whole party with a lot of black magic, so this is really going to increase my survival ability a lot. And the enemies on this floor are really weak, and you can usually just run from them before Edge's turn even comes up. Against some of the stronger ones, you still need to use those, but overall, the randoms here are very non-threatening. And before I jump into the fight, I need to do an equipment demo. Edge is going to need the ribbon, but will not need the protect ring. On the other hand, Rydia will need the protect ring. Kain will need the Dragon Helm so he resists all the elements, and we need to power up Golbez's magic again. So he's getting the Fairy Rod back. Oh, also, Golbez needs to replace this with the Rune Armlet so he's immune to silence. And with that, we should be ready to go. Our first boss is Marilyn, who is, of course, the Fiend of Fire from Final Fantasy. And the critical part of our strategy here is that Edge is pretty much completely immune to this boss. So she mostly attacks with fire attacks that can't affect Edge in any way. She also will use physicals, but if I put Blink on Edge, that actually can't affect him. So the only way she can affect him is by inflicting a status effect on him, and she could confuse him, but he has the ribbon on, so that won't do anything either. So basically, all I'm really trying to do is beat her as efficiently as possible. There's no way to actually defeat my party. And that was a mistake attacking his Edge like that, but hopefully it won't really matter. You're also going to notice this gets a lot more intense for me as I go forward, because at Battle Speed 1, the battles from this point in the game on get really fast. Berserking Kain is honestly just as much about making the fight easier for me as it is about actually powering up his damage. So it certainly does do that as well. And I'm making this boss look really free, but this can actually become a very tricky fight if you're not well prepared. Because on a lunar phase, it's not helping you without elemental resistance. She nearly wipes the party every time she uses a target all fire. She'll counter mages with silence, which if they're not immune to it, can quickly wreck them, as that silence actually is a really good infliction. And if she confuses the character that has Blink up, it gets really obnoxious and pure because you're relying on Forum to keep you alive. So she doesn't really have time to cast the healing. But there she goes. And we have now saved the other fire crystal, I guess. And all the bosses from here on out give a huge amount of experience. So every boss that we manage to clear is going to make all of the others much easier. And with that we claim the Rising Sun, which is a really awesome weapon for Edge that is going to greatly reduce our equipment juggle. It's not quite as powerful as his other weapons, but it's pretty close. And what really makes it nice is the fact that he gives a large speed boost, larger than the Fairy Claws. So we can just kind of stick it on Edge, and overall it gives him a better performance than your other options. But for now we're going to come over here and take on Tiamat, the Fiend of Wind. I'm going to quickly cycle through my equipment to make sure everyone is equipped in a generally sane way. Yep, that looks sane to me. So let's go. Now, Tiamat doesn't give you a useful item like the Rising Sun, but Tiamat is actually really easy. Unlike in Final Fantasy I, where Tiamat was the final one of the four fiends, in this game, Tiamat's basically just a freebie. Again, I'm going to start off with Spider Silk and Hasting Torrent. And from here, I pretty much have it won. Again, Edge with Blink is nearly invincible in this fight, so he's in very good shape. The boss's main threatening attack is Thermal Rays, but for some reason, I'll admit I don't fully understand. That move really doesn't do anything if you resist fire. And my whole party resists fire, other than Edge, who's immune to fire, so I'm in a pretty good situation. Since the boss really can't hurt me, I'm going to be throwing a blink on everyone as a defensive measure, and I'm pretty much going to be indestructible once it gets up on all my fragile characters. And Venomous Gas can only hit me once. Now that everyone's poisoned, I don't have to worry about it again. And poison is such a trivial status ailment in this game that I couldn't care less before. It's actually surprising the boss hasn't used Thermal Rays yet. But it doesn't really matter if he does. Oh, there we go. As you can see, the only real effect that had was healing Edge, which is of course A-okay by me. And now we are pretty much Tiamat-proof that everyone has Blink on. This boss also does have an attack that reduces everyone to single-digit health, but since the boss has no real way to finish us off, as long as I drop a Kiraga sometime within the vicinity of that attack hitting me, I don't have anything to worry about. That attack's also really rare, so it's another reason I really just don't have to stress it. In fact, if the boss doesn't use Maelstrom soon, I'm going to finish the fight without ever seeing it. Now that's a rare attack. I don't think I've ever seen the boss do that. But it doesn't really matter. Because now we've won, and Tiamat is gone. And that piece of equipment is a really nice backup to the God Hand if you happen to be using Yang or Ursula, but it doesn't give a speed boost, so Edge really has nothing to do with it. Either way, let's just jump right into the third boss, shall we? I do need a little bit of an equipment juggler here. I actually want to give Edge the Brave Suit for this fight, and I want to give the Rapid Ring back to Golbez. Otherwise, though, I believe this is the correct setup, so let's try it. Here, of course, we're taking on Kraken, the Fiend of Water, who's overall probably the most dangerous of the four fiends down here. So we're going to have to be a little careful. Though the same basic strategy applies of Spider Silk and then go into offense. And contrary to what you might think, Leviathan is actually a completely non-elemental dude, so you have nothing to lose at all by summoning Leviathan, even against the water. And I made a bit of a mistake here by not throwing Blink up on Edge. That might be his death. But Kraken has a lot of health, so I'll have plenty of time to make up for this little mistake. Wow, he's being a really big jerk. And down goes Edge. Again. I need to start getting Blink up so I don't lose characters here. And that should keep Edge alive. Let's make sure he doesn't snipe Rydia either. Now the fight's back under control, and things should go pretty well for him. That was a good demonstration of how little mistakes can really let these fights get away from you. Because that really wasn't a very large mistake I made not throwing up Blink with Edge, but it put me into a long cycle where I had to give up a lot of damage to get the fight back under control. And that's Rydia's last Leviathan, so hopefully this guy's about to go down. Yep, there he goes. And another set of levels for the whole party, and a useful piece of equipment to go with it. Kraken Dagger doesn't really give any notable stat boost, but it is pretty powerful, so it's actually an equipment upgrade for Edge over that sword he got way back in the Gathering. Of course, if we've already taken out Maryland, the Kraken, and Tiamat, then we still have one left, and that's going to be the Lich. And the reason I saved the Lich for last is twofold. For one, you get the Assassin's Dagger for beating him, which is honestly not a useful piece of equipment in any way. No Edge can't equip it. It's only equipable by characters who can equip things like swords and lances. But those characters have so many better things to use. And the other factor is that he uses Earthquake, and none of my characters have Float. If you do have Float, you should fight the Lich first because he's a total freebie. But I wanted to wait until I had a high enough stats to deal with this easily. And that was a little bit of a nasty surprise encounter, but hopefully we'll be okay. Again, the same basic strategy. Drop the Spider Still, have Pain Haste Forum, and go to town trying to use Blink to keep yourself as healthy as possible. Sleep is really obnoxious. So I'm really just hoping it doesn't hit, though it honestly has a pretty good infliction rate. I'm going to have Pain Haste himself, because I'm going to do this fight as efficiently as possible. Because this boss is weak to Holy, and I have the Excalibur equipped, so if I throw one of my many extra Bacchus' lines on Kane with haste on him, he's going to do damage at a really ridiculous rate. And so far this boss has been really cooperative, though honestly there's not a terrible lot you can do to make this difficult. Fighting him last and having the higher powered party that results is definitely a good move. I've been really lucky with that missing Golbez over and over again, because that is hardly a guarantee that Sleep is going to miss Golbez. And there we go, the Lich is down. That went very smoothly compared to all of the other fights, but that's the advantage of doing him last. And that wraps up the Final Fantasy 1 floor. We managed to defeat all the Final Fantasy 1 bosses without even having the overpowered red mages. So I'm going to work my way back to the save point here, break segment, and I will see you guys next time as I make my way toward the Final Fantasy 2 floor.